So the sixth secret to becoming the world champion of public speaking, or secret number 6, is memorization. Now, what do I mean by memorization? Whenever you, whenever you're asked to give a speech, okay, especially if you're not a seasoned speaker, I would strongly recommend that you memorize your speech word for word. Okay, by memorization, I don't just mean that you memorized everything and you're ready. No, you need to memorize it in an extreme manner. Now, what do I mean by extreme manner? Let's say, for example, my mentor, Lucky Sablani and Mohammad Murad, they taught me this. What they would say is, let's say, for example, someone woke you up in the middle of the night, let's say at 2 o'clock, someone just woke you up and said, start speaking from this point, okay, point number 6 or point number 5, or from the 3rd minute, or they would just read out a line in your speech and say, start speaking from here. You should be able to just start speaking from that point without even hesitating, oh, which point was this? You should be that good. In fact, when I used to practice my speech, I would practice paragraph by paragraph, and then I would challenge myself, okay, I've said the 7th paragraph, what is the 6th one? What is the 5th one? What is the 4th one? I would keep going back and forth and left and right. So that is how I would memorize my speech. And the reason for this is, when you are starting off or when you have a competition, there can be a possibility that sometimes you get so caught up into the moment or something happens. Let's say, I've literally have had this. When giving a speech, the sliding doors, the doors that open this way, let's say in a hotel, all the doors close. And then if you want to open, you just have to push right in the center. So when I was giving the speech, just absolutely opposite, the door just went this way, just opened up, and some kids had just pushed and they were like, oh, sorry. So everyone looked at the back. Normally, any other speaker would have just forgotten his lines and, gone cold. But when I looked at him, I said, just exactly like how those kids came in, I rushed in and, I incorporated the disturbance that was there because I had memorized my speech and I didn't forget it. So you need to memorize your speech. Another benefit of memorizing is you need to memorize smart one-liners or fillers, because there's always a possibility that something can happen. Let's say a phone would ring. This always happens. Somebody forgot to put their phone on mute and the phone rings. So what would you say if during your presentation a phone rang, or someone walked, or there was a disturbance, or there was a heckler in the crowd? In fact, if you want, just Google hecklers, how to handle hecklers, or how comedians handle hecklers. Now, obviously, you can't insult members of your audience, but how do you handle hecklers? One of the best examples I can give you for how to handle hecklers is watch how Obama handles hecklers. He always has this amazing ability of incorporating whatever the heckler says by respecting him without making the heckler feel bad, and showing the heckler that he respects what the heckler is saying, and then he continues with his presentation. So if in case you have a heckler or you have an accident or there's something that happens, let's say you slipped and fell, and then you brushed yourself, and then you have to continue with your presentation. So if you memorize your speech and you memorize fillers, or you memorize let's say smart one-liners, it will always save you on that given day. Because the worst thing that can happen is you fell down or you just forgot. I remember Michael Bay. He was supposed to give this during the launch of Samsung. I don't remember when it was. I think it was 2015 or 2016. Michael Bay giving a presentation at Samsung, and all of a sudden he forgets his lines. He goes blank, and then he just walks out of the stage. So that is the worst thing that can happen to you. So point number 6 is memorization. What I tend to do is when I memorize a speech, I go to the extreme. How do I memorize going to the extreme? But don't try this unless you get a doctor's approval or you are medically fit. I would memorize a speech when I'm in a sauna, wearing like a sweater, and I'm sweating and it's uncomfortable, and then I would memorize my speech. Sometimes I would sit in an ice cold bath and I would try to memorize my speech, and until I memorized my speech, I wouldn't get out. So I'd put my body to physical pain, and like sometimes even when getting a tattoo and I'm bleeding and my body's shivering, I would try to memorize the speech. So the reason I keep doing this is so that even with all the distractions, I'm able to focus on my speech and I'm able to give it. So on the given day, when everything is going fine, I'm mentally prepared. Keep this in mind that there can also be situations where things are not in your control. Let's say one of the sessions when I was going to give a speech, I thought I'd prepared for everything, and I didn't anticipate that the sound and lighting team that had come in had put these spotlights, which were one at the left, one on the right, and one right in the center. And they were so bright, I could not see my audience. I was like literally blinded. But that was not the worst thing. The worst thing was it was so hot, I was sweating profusely. And because it was a formal event, I had to wear a suit. Those days I had to wear a suit. I was drenched in sweat. And because I didn't mentally prepare for this, my mouth was getting dry, so I didn't know what to do. And I had to keep speaking. It was a competition. It was a competition to speak. So fortunately for me, I was able to, just go on. And thanks to the sweat, I just licked my sweat and, was able to continue speaking. But ever since that day, what I did is I always kept an emergency, a bottle next to the side of the lectern, so that anytime I had to speak, I would just sip a little bit of water. So it's very important for you to memorize your speech, very important for you to memorize fillers, and very important for you to memorize one-liners. Here's another point that I'll give you. Memorize an emergency ending. Let's say, for example, your speech is 7 minutes, and the audience loves your speech so much, they are laughing, they are enjoying, or some disturbance took place. And during competitions, if you speak for more than 7 minutes, 30 seconds, you speak for even 7 minutes, 30 seconds, and 1 second extra, you get disqualified. So this is one more thing my mentor, Lucky Sablani and Mohammad Murad taught me, is have an emergency ending. Have an emergency ending. So if in case you see the red light, or you see someone signals and says, your time is up, you immediately move on to your emergency ending, which should be just one line, to just move away, so that you don't get disqualified. The worst thing is reaching up to the finals and getting that 1 point, one little incident, which takes you 1 second, even half a second over the time limit, and you getting disqualified. It's not worth it. So what I suggest to you is memorize even an emergency ending. So in case something happens, let's say, for example, you saw the red light where you're not supposed to see the red light, you can immediately end your speech and walk off the stage, knowing that, wow, at least I'm safe. So memorization is point number 6, and that is the 6th secret to becoming the world champion of public speaking, or the world's best speaker. This is Loy Machedo. I hope you enjoyed my video session. If you have any questions, please send it to me at loy@loymachedo.com. Do share and like this video. And remember, if you'd like to donate to my channel, that is through PayPal, loy@loymachedo.com. I look forward to hearing from you. Goodbye.